All right, everybody. I am Andrew Badella. That is Jordan Carter. That is Juice Springsteen. We are live for No Dirt, Just Dialogue. It's been a busy week here in the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. We have WrestleMania tickets to talk about. We have two new champions crowned on an episode of Dynamite, which sent a lot of shockwaves through the fan base here. We got some news and notes. No, AJ Styles has not come out of retirement. But before we get to all that, Jordan, Juice, how the hell are you, boys?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Can't complain, Jordan. I cannot complain. Juice?
Hanging in there. We're finally thawing out on this side of the country. So, 50 degrees, bring out the shorts. Look out.
Oh, you got shorts weather. We're not in shorts weather yet, but it's about 40-ish degrees here, and it seems like we're going to stay there for the next couple of weeks, which is nice. Or I should say the next week. I don't know what 2 weeks holds for us just yet.
Well, it's when you get a month straight of sub-zero temperatures, when it's 20 degrees, it's like a heat wave.
Yeah. Hey, how about them Seahawks? I know I'm in full Jets gear here because it's a brand new season essentially, but I said more than 10. The Seahawks dominated that Super Bowl. We're going to get off that, but again, I had my reservations about that offensive line of the New England Patriots, and boy, did they get crushed.
Even so, and congratulations to the Seahawks. People be like, "Yeah, the Patriots got crushed." And okay, but they got to the Super Bowl. Drake May is their guy. They're set.
Yeah.
There's so many teams that wish they were there, and
I just feel bad for that lineman.
Yeah, you don't make the Super Bowl unless you have a good team. There's no doubt about that. The Patriots' schedule was They played a quarterback in the AFC Championship, but I will tell you that obviously you got to have a good team to be left standing, and the Patriots have a good defense, no doubt about it. If they didn't have a good defense, the Seahawks probably would have hung 45 on them, no doubt about it. And to the Patriots' credit, I think it was 9-0 for the most part of that game until we got into the later stages of that game. Again, it's just when you run the same play 10 times or the same type of blitz 9 to 10 times in a Super Bowl, you kind of know that this offensive line that you're going against, and there's no adjustments, is just not up to par. And again, you could just tell that when you look at New England and you look at Seattle has taken that next complete step as a football team. In New England, they'll be back, not in the Super Bowl, but they'll be back in the playoffs for sure.
Well, and it's also funny that, there's plenty of teams you can laugh at here, including the Jets, who can't seem to develop talent, the Vikings, who let go of a guy who got them 14 wins, and they proceeded to do the same thing on another team. So maybe it's not just the system. Maybe the guy has something there. And in the AFC, that's loaded with a lot of great quarterbacks. None of them were in the playoffs this year, and they could have had a chance had they gotten to the Seahawks.
Well,
I think the Broncos. I think the Broncos could have done a lot. Could have had a better game against the Seahawks if they had Bo Nix. It would have been a better game than what we saw.
Broncos are in the Super Bowl. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you, brother. Listen, again, you have to have a good defense to be in the Super Bowl, and the Patriots had
the last 2 years. The last 2 years, Seahawks and Eagles dominated.
Yeah, somebody who watched. Listen, I played at a high level of football and baseball. It's so hard to get there, but don't discredit what the Patriots did, but understand that Mike Macdonald is the first head coach that called defensive plays as a head coach. He calls the defense to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right. Let's get in.
I just feel bad for the Patriots lineman, the rookie. You know, what you gonna
Amazon,
be
you
working
better go find a job. That guy.
Yeah. You're gonna be working at Amazon. All right. All right, we're gonna see.
That did not age well. Anyways, let's talk about professional wrestling and sports entertainment. Where do you guys want to start?
Well, this is the road to WrestleMania. So it is very apropos that we'll be talking about such an event called WrestleMania. And when we have Elimination Chamber very close, a couple of weeks, nothing else in between, a lot of interesting reports have been coming out in regards to, there's a plethora of things we can talk about, and we'll get to the one I'm going to directly ask you about, but Braun Breaker getting injured, that throws a wrench into the whole thing. Seth Rollins, who knows if he'll even be at the show. Brock Lesnar's rumored to return in a couple of weeks now, confirmed for Raw in Atlanta. So a lot of things are shaping up for WrestleMania, yet it was revealed today that there was some internal meetings about creative and a lot of other things, tickets, and not being at a spot where WWE is clearly comfortable with. Now, same venue again, same city again. It was going to be New Orleans, but money talks and bullshit walks. So Drew, you being the ticket guy, what's going on, man? It's WrestleMania. It's the show of shows. It's the granddaddy of them all.
I like that. Money talks and bullshit walks. I dig that, Juice. Listen, here's the thing with me. It's so easy to sit back and, say that WWE ticket prices are high, which they are. They are. The ticket prices are high here for WrestleMania. The ticket prices for everything that WWE has done, with an exception of a couple, demographics in terms of and cities and states, has been a tad bit lower. But I've talked about this with Jordan privately, and I believe with you as well. When you start to forget the fan base that helped you build your company, helped you sustain profits, who pour money time and time again into your company, and you want to play with the suits and everything else, for lack of better terms, you want to appeal to a new demographic. I don't hate that, but you also can't forego and forget and alienate the fan base that helped you get to this level. And what they've done is they've taken people like myself, who I make a very comfortable living, but to take my son to an event like WrestleMania or SummerSlam, I took my son, my brother's son, and my brother to SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium, and it ran me, and I have great connections, but I had to pay face value for the tickets, which again is a blessing. But it ran me $750 a ticket. Now, we didn't have to sit that close. He sat like 7 rows from the ring. But think about that for a second. That's nearly $3,000 to have a decent seat for these kids to be able to see the show. You might as well stay home. So and that's not the food and the soda and all this other stuff that goes into this stuff, because I have kids, and a beer for me and my brother, whatever. At the end of the day, what WWE and TKO, and it's easy to say, is they have forgotten where they came from. And a lot of people do this. And a lot of big companies, UFC did it, but UFC is different because that, in my opinion, I know what Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, or the model they're trying to go after. I get it. UFC was kind of the same thing. It was your blue collar, dungy, low income type of fan base. And then all of a sudden they took it to new heights. I'm sorry. There is a ceiling for professional wrestling in terms of, I'm not talking about the appeal, the mass appeal, but people, where they're going to spend their money on. And WWE is not UFC because it's staged entertainment. Okay. Like you're not going to get there. And again, I think when you're talking about hitting another factor is hitting the same city, same state for 2 years in a row. If we had all of the numbers, I'm sure it was very easy to book Atlantic City 2 years in a row. I'm sure they got a hell of a deal, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, you're trying to get 75,000 people in Vegas.
This is far removed from 88 and 89 Mania 4 and 5, where they probably got a deal.
Right. And I bet you if you look at 88, 89, if we had this, everything, all the information, everything else like that, I bet you they got a hell of a deal. And they could get 17,000 people, 18,000 people at the casino that they ran it at. But you're not going to get 75,000 people. Not to mention, this is 4 times Okay. You had WrestleMania Saturday last year, WrestleMania Sunday. Now you're going back WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday, and people have already done it and they've spent the money. The repeat business is a tough business. Look at AEW.
So
it's tough.
WrestleMania has always been, they've built themselves on a community of being Six Flags, and now they're pricing themselves as Disney World.
Well,
And
even I like the analogy. I like the analogy, Jordan. But it's like,
that's the problem. Like you're based like literally, and I hate to just say it. Wrestling's not a. It's not for stupid people, but it's not the most highbrow form of entertainment. Let's just be honest.
And you know what, Jordan? I'll just say it. Me and you have talked about this privately. The wrestling fan base, and this is not a knock, it's just the truth. The wrestling fan base, for the most part, are not like your high IQ type of human. They're there for entertainment. They're there to just kind of hang out and let loose. And
taking that as a personal shot.
Well, you can. That's fine. You're an idiot. I get it. But I mean, like, if you go look at the demographics, I mean, it is what it is.
And remember, it's also interesting when you have the optics and knowledge, because they didn't just do this hush hush, that they announced WrestleMania to be in New Orleans, and then all of a sudden, you know what, we're going to be in Vegas again. And it was clear that it was about success and money.
But Vegas is hurting, Juice, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. The travel and tourism is down. The
fans don't care about that. They care about wanting to be accessible and afford WrestleMania.
You're right, but what WWE should have done out of the gate, and I've said this about AEW too, and I will die on this hill. I know, and I'm not campaigning for a job because I don't need it. I'm just letting you know that I know that AEW could be in a better place if they had somebody like myself or like-minded who knows both sides of the industry and could put the fandom into the fact of the ticket sales, because you have to put yourself in the consumer's shoes. I understand you got to meet profits, and I understand you got to hit a line, and you don't want to be in the negative. But at the end of the day, you are not putting yourself in the consumer's shoes, and AEW does it too. Some of their ticket prices is so stupid because they could get so much more out of the gate, and WWE should have done this with WrestleMania. You could have had so many more people already have tickets if you made them affordable. You cannot forget where you came from. And WWE is trying to make this into something, TKO, it's not. It's not. Do we all get excited for WrestleMania? Yes. Anybody on here who doesn't get excited for WrestleMania is either full of shit or they have a bias, because WrestleMania is the show of shows, okay? Every talent will tell you that. Every talent that's in the industry will tell you that. They all want to dance on WrestleMania. But the fans that spend their hard-earned money and make this like a vacation are now picking what they can and cannot do. And the reason WWE has stopped the streaming or the viewing parties is because they know it's hurting their business, because you could go to Circa and watch it on a giant screen TV in a fucking pool for a fourth of the price. Why wouldn't you do that? My kid could swim and eat and drink for a fourth of the price, and I could sit here in my fucking bathing suit. I'm going to do it. I got to sit next to Smelly Joe and fucking Tina. I'm in.
I got to be there for 5 hours.
Right. And my kid wants a t-shirt. He wants a hat. He wants a pin. He wants a towel. He wants this. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Here, take out a second mortgage. I mean, I'm just saying, a lot of people it's a lot. And you got to make sure
it's like you see the thing in NBA games nowadays. You see like the first like 4 or 5 rows are filled with they're saying not real fans, but they're business people. They're the elites, so to speak. The people who don't put on the playoff t-shirts. It feels like WWE is, or at least WrestleMania, these big 4 events are going to become that, where you're going to have the first 4 rows just filled up with people who can just afford to be there. And okay, it's nice that you can afford to be there, but like, I don't think that the people that can afford to be there are not also always the people who are the fans who deserve to be there.
Dude, wouldn't you want the people who are in the first 3 to 4 rows going absolutely apeshit instead of the celebrities who are sitting there kind of sitting on their hands being like, that was cool, man. That was awesome. Yes. Yeah. Hey, golf clap.
Right. And
You're,
yet
the
you walk out West
atmosphere.
Side Gun, by the way, who you walk out West Side Gun, who is one of your celebrities, who does go crazy. Just to throw that out there, like, come on.
Listen, I understand that if there's a price that people are going to pay, and I'm not the $1 million man, if there's a price that people are going to pay, you try and capture it. I get that, but at some point, these people who set the ticket prices, and I'm talking directly to AEW people who are in charge, and you know who you are. I'm not going to name you. And the same thing goes with WWE. You need to put the consumer first because you're running smaller buildings in AEW's case because some people can't invest into some of the stories that they have, or your ticket prices for your product don't match what you're putting on the screen. They don't. Who's paying $400 to sit front row at a Dynamite? Give me a break. Come on. I wouldn't pay $500 to sit front row Monday Night Raw either. I wouldn't. You better fucking
last night's Dynamite was pretty damn good.
It was great, but Juice, at what point do you sit back and say,
I'm kidding.
What point do you sit back and say, I'm not going to get groceries this week. I'm going to go to WWE or Dynamite. Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Yeah. And the people who can afford it, God bless you. I have had the opportunity and the privilege to both buy them and been given front row seats. And it's a lot of money. And I'm privileged to make and blessed to make a comfortable living. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got to sit back and say, no, I can't do this. And that's what you want. You want some people who can afford it, who don't give a shit about your product, to just go and be like, let's check this out. Or you got to give them away. Fix it. It's not that hard. Fix it. All these tickets that are available, and people are like, oh, it's the stories. Nobody can invest in the stories. Bullshit. You would go to WrestleMania if it was the Abominable Snowman versus the Mummy. It's not about the stories. It's about the ticket prices. You can't tell me that you want to pay $8,000 to sit in the second row to watch CM Punk and Roman Reigns. You pay $1,000, $1,500. Some fans would. $8,000.
I don't even know if I'm paying. I'll put it to you like this: as a person who I'm going to Revolution this year. I have the great blessing to go to Revolution this year. Probably going to go to Double or Nothing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge to these two. There's a certain I went to All In last year, and then I also went to this Collision. Probably going to be going to SummerSlam. There's a certain amount of money that I'm willing to spend along with travel on a ticket. And I don't care what company you are, who you are. Yeah. There comes a certain point because as a wrestling fan, you are going to price me out. Sure. Like, again, for the Super Bowl, I will pay a certain premium. It's the Super Bowl.
Jordan, let me say something to that comment, right? So I worked the tickets for the Super Bowl on Friday and Saturday, and I came home, all right? It was a $3,000 get-in to sit in the bleeders. Now, the prices for the upper level never came down. This is resale, okay? Because it runs about $1,800, depending on the seat, between $1,500 and $1,800 face value. Some center 50 seats on the upper level go for maybe like $2,400, and that's face value. They never went below $3,000 to sit in the upper level in like the worst couple of seats in the row. Now the lower levels came down and all that other stuff, but it was still $5,000 to sit in the lower level. Think about you and your father, right? May God rest his soul. If he were to go to a Super Bowl, $7,000 to go watch the Cowboys play in a Super Bowl.
Well, first off, that's never going to happen again.
But I'm just saying, me and my father talked about it because I've worked at them. I've been them. If the Jets went to the Super Bowl, first off, I got to take my son. But think about this for a second. You're looking at $10,000, $15,000 for all of us. That's crazy.
Once in a lifetime experience. Sure, you're watching your team. There's different levels to it. Where like wrestling, like I will. If you are in this space, and you know what I mean by that. You go into a WrestleMania card and you could guess 4 out of the 7, we'll say, matches, right?
Sure.
I'm not going to pay a certain premium for a result that I already know. Sure, it may be once in a lifetime as well, but like the Super Bowl, the finals, World Series, so on and so forth. You know, the World Cup is coming into my neck of the woods. There's a certain premium that people are willing, like that I can accept and willing to pay for that. And I hate to use the term real, but again, for something that is real versus, and this is where you said you're pricing out your audience. Like, again, these people are smart enough.
What is the audience? The audience is lower income to middle class at best.
At least it used to be. And now they're getting priced out.
Bro, go look at that front row in Vegas.
I'm in agreement with you.
That is not the middle or lower class.
Well, it's Vegas, of course, too. And the other thing is, in those real sports, you can't. It's sure you'll be there for 3 or 4 hours, but it might be a blowout. Or if UFC, it might be a knockout, and things might be shorter. WrestleMania, it's going to be a guaranteed entertaining experience for 4+ hours, and yet it's still like outpricing some of these other events. Let alone, we haven't even touched the on-location experience. You get to have your own WrestleMania entrance, shoot and pull with The Undertaker in the luxury box. I don't know.
To your point, and to both of your points, I asked a buddy of mine, I was like, hey, you want to go to WrestleMania this year? He's like, yeah, I do. I was like, all right, how many of you and your friends want to go? Like 3 of them. I was like, what's your budget to spend on WrestleMania? He's like, I'd really like to go for like $1,000. I was like, for one night? He's like, well, I'd like to do 2. I was like, here's what I'll tell you. He's like, you want to spend $1,000? Cool. Spend $750 on a ticket to night 2 and spend $250 and go sit at the pool. I'm telling you. And he's like, it's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. And at the end of the day, you get a great visual experience for night 1. You get to have fun with your buddies. And then night 2, you could be in the atmosphere. And I get it. But is the atmosphere really worth $750? At some point, you got to sit back and be like, this isn't worth it. And the bubble will burst. And listen, it's great strategy by TKO. Grab as much money as you possibly can because it's going to end up stopping. I get it. But you might damage in doing this. Every action has a consequence. And I don't know if these fans will ever come back. Some of them that can't afford it. They might turn elsewhere.
Sooner than later, maybe too, because next year it's not in the domestic United States. So this is like the last WrestleMania until 2028. Like what? Like these fans, this is my last chance. I don't know. They're not going.
What is the number? Do you feel is adequate?
Well, there's a lot that goes into this, Jordan, and we're not going to have a ticketing show today because we've been on this for 22 minutes. But I will tell you what it goes into is looking at last year's trends when they were bought on the on sale, when they were bought on the pre-sale. Had the 2 days do? Did they move better? Should we have kept that? It's a year-over-year comparison, and that's why they're doing this in Vegas. Again, there's obviously multiple reasons why they're doing it in Vegas, but this is one of them because they have the data. And they could go back and look at it and they could try and do better. What's happening now is that it's worse because the ticket prices from what I've seen haven't changed. They've just remained high. Now they did a little tinkering as we get closer and closer here. But the other thing too, is that a lot of people sat back and they're like, I could go to this year's WrestleMania or I should go to this year's WrestleMania. And this is what WWE should fucking hammer. And they don't. I better go to this year's WrestleMania because next year it's in Saudi Arabia. And I'm sorry, if you're going to Saudi Arabia next year, great, awesome. God willing, good speed, have fun. I'm not sitting here saying, but majority of your fan base is not going, okay? Besides Kerry and all the green shirt guy and all those other guys who love to go, and God bless them for it. WWE should really hammer like, hey, WrestleMania domestically here in the States, next year's Saudi Arabia. So if you want to go to WrestleMania this year, and they should make it affordable, the place would be already sold out. You can't go to WrestleMania next year. The common folk and the fan for WWE cannot go to WrestleMania next year. And AEW should have done the same shit with Texas, all in, because a lot of people won't go to London. Some Americans don't even have passports.
I'm one of them. Well, to change gears just a bit, I did want to just tweak your brain on
Sure.
a report that I saw. This is something, again, you and I have talked about. And I just think it's funny to talk about, but it seems like the age of Mr. Royce Keys has been debunked. Finally, it seems. There's what do you think of the possible that WWE was not aware of how old he actually was?
I told you on this show how old Royce Keys was, Hobbs. I mean, just because first of all, WWE is not going off what Wikipedia has him listed as an age. Like, it was just comical to read this. I'm sure Mr. Keys had to, sit back and fill out everything that every new employee or somebody else fills out. And I'm sure that Hobbs did not lie about his age. Okay. I find that very hard to believe. And I think this is complete and utter bullshit. But no, Hobbs is not 35. We fucking knew that if you pay attention.
But to a bigger point, does it matter?
No.
I mean, the age of wrestlers really hasn't mattered since the late 90s. And even looking back at it, it's frustrating that they, oh, you're approaching 40. That's it. So now everybody's over 40 and thriving and having some of their best matches of their career.
If you go to your point, Juice, if you go back and look at some of the stars past, they all hit their real stride, with the exception of a few, the Brock Lesnar's, the Randy Ortons, and I believe the Rock. But even as they got older and older, you got these guys and girls were not only superstars, but mega attractions when they got into their 40s.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the conversation, and I'm glad, Juice, this is why you gentlemen, I love working with you. That's the conversation I really wanted to go to, is there's this weird conversation of ageism in wrestling nowadays. And for whatever reason, there's this idea or thought that once you hit a certain age, that you're done, or or
it's
you
can't
be
approach, Jordan,
or you shouldn't be champion, or you shouldn't be booked.
It's a sports approach to a non-sport. That's funny,
right? But but it's a sports approach by morons who have a microphone and a camera. Like, this guy's 42, like he shouldn't be there. And it's like, listen, if the 42-year-old draws and sells tickets, put the 42-year-old against some of your younger guys, and hopefully the younger guy gets over to when he turns a certain age, he could be the guy selling out arenas. It's a problem in a company, which we'll get to later on. But at the end of the day, like, the whole thing about age is you can't take the professional sporting approach where it's the football and basketball and baseball approach where these guys are in their 40s, their athletic ability starts to dwindle. This is professional wrestling and sports entertainment. These guys, some of these guys are wrestling into their 50s, and they're still drawing huge houses and getting huge reactions. Now, that's not to say that it's the same for everybody, because I've seen something different in AEW, which we'll get to in a little bit. But nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and if these guys and girls could still pack the house at 40 plus, Punk, Cody, LA Knight, whomever, you got to use them to get over the younger generation. When you don't do that, that's a problem.
And this is one of the only forms of entertainment or any medium that can actually utilize nostalgia to sell actual tickets for their current events. Because, Tom Brady probably could still sling a football, but no one's once you're done, you're probably done. You're not coming back and going away.
That Phillip Rivers Colts run was great.
Right. But that's about as far as it goes, is like maybe in an emergency
I liken it
situation.
to concerts, Juice. You pay for if you could get, obviously it's not going to happen, but if you get the original members of like the Doors now, and they're being their 70s, okay, 70-ish, they still could go out and play instruments and sing and put on a good show, and the Who's been doing it for so long. Pink Floyd, the Grateful Dead, before all these, before he passed away. Like, that's how you need to look at professional wrestling. Can these guys still entertain and put on a good show? The athletic ability absolutely starts to dwindle, but it's not like professional sports where you're getting crushed every day and you got to be the fastest. And
it's required of you. You can kind of get by with its performance.
It's an art form. It's an art form.
Yeah. So they always clowned on Hogan and Piper age in the cage in 97 and almost the entire
pay-per-views, didn't it?
They did. Yeah. And almost all of the top guys in WWE are well over that age now and are at such a higher level. It's just, we've progressed. We've, evolved as humans too, to where 45 is, new 35.
WCW's roster was built off the old generation of WWE guys who were, according to Vince, past their prime and went over there. And then all of them happened to come back, majority, exception of few, in 2002 when WWE was out of business. At the end of the day, it's all WCW is built off the back of old professional wrestlers. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash weren't super young when they came over.
No. And DDP found, the fountain of youth
at 40.
So especially now, it's just there's way more. It's the common now. It's way more common now.
I don't understand how people think that Royce Keys, Powerhouse Hobbs, is not going to be okay. He hasn't even had anything happen to him yet. The one thing I will say on it is the Rumble did him no favors, especially when you don't have anything following up that next week or anything else like that. And I say that because there was no moment for him in the Rumble. What did he do? What did he do inside the Rumble?
I think that's the issue that currently kind of WWE personally they kind of have right now. You got a lot of guys with the same gimmicks. Because I love Royce Keys, but I also love Obafemi, but I also love Keanu Carver, excuse me. Those are three guys on three different shows right now with slated that kind of all do the same thing. They all look the same as well. And I love that as far as a person who looks like
Taker and Kane. We had Taker and Kane on the same show.
The gimmicks were also tied to one another.
Sure. I know where you're going and I hear you and I could see where it's like, oh, well, you know what? Like creatively, like we can't do the same thing we're doing, but that's tunnel vision. And that's bullshit in my opinion from creative. Really? You could not from you. I'm talking about from creative.
Okay. I was
just because some both guys are big, black, and jacked doesn't mean they can't be on television at the same time.
Okay, cool. I'm glad. I didn't want to say it. I'm glad. This is why I love you,
but that's my thing. I mean, listen, I know I'm a white guy, but at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. Oh, really? I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're Asian. I don't care if you're Latino. If you're over, you're over. And if you have a presence, you have a presence. How many fucking white guys are on top in WWE? I mean, I understand their gimmicks might be different because they all kind of look cookie cutter-ish, or like I said, they're big, black, and jacked, does not mean that they can't be on television at the same time. That's a horrible way to do creative. Figure it out. And if you can't, then it's on you.
Yeah, because that's and I think because you said the thing with Royce Keys, since we're on it, now maybe tomorrow he's got a match, he's got a program, hopefully so. I would love to see.
I like the fact that Royce Keys was not on a Raw or SmackDown after the Rumble because it would have hurt him. He did nothing in the Rumble. He had a great debut. It was cool that they mentioned him. But at the end of the day, what moment did he have at the Rumble? Ova had the moment. Roman had the moment. Javon Evans had the moment.
Javon Evans. Jey Uso had a moment.
He got one elimination, right? I mean, I would have had.
Do you remember who he eliminated?
I don't. I'm not.
All right, so that's my point. This is what I'm saying. I don't mind the surprise factor. It was great. I thought that was cool that they had the Hobbs and Michael Cole mentioned it and they set him up, but they did nothing to follow through in the match itself. So do not have him show up on Raw or SmackDown with a nothing. They focused on Oba and they focused on Javon Evans, who had moments in the Rumble. They did no good by Royce Keys, Powerhouse Hobbs, by having him have a nothing burger in the actual Rumble match itself.
So then how do you
maybe they're unsure what to do with him yet, which leads to what the hell did you bring him in for?
Yeah, because that's
creatively they need to get better.
Well, that's a part of that WrestleMania thing. People would know what they're expecting. Go ahead.
If you're going to debut him in the Rumble, to have him do nothing, and then you don't, because of he didn't do nothing in the Rumble, you then have nothing for him to do. Why
he eliminated Damian Priest, but did they follow up on that on SmackDown? No, they did not. What was Priest on SmackDown doing?
Good point. So this is why I feel like hopefully tomorrow he has some sort of promo, whether it be pre-taped or live. I would like to see a match. Personally, I would like to see,
I'm not angry. I'm not angry. I don't have time for the internet stupidity where it's it's professional wrestling. It's professional wrestling. And this is a show where you need to be animated on. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
No, I love it. It works. It works. You have the little, vein in your head.
But Jordan, to your point, I do hope that he does something soon because otherwise it's
because I think the sky is the absolute limit, because like you said, they have three guys who you very well can, Yes, I'm saying it because we all look the same. Yes, we black. I don't care. But you have 3 talents on your hand that you need to push to the absolute moon, but you have to be careful.
Bro, they have 4. They have 4. If we're still sitting here with if you're talking about
yeah.
You're talking about being black and being a superstar in the WWE. You have Javon Evans. You have Trick Williams. You have Obafemi, and you have now Royce Keys.
So I will say, so the difference is, I think Trick Williams he has a character.
They're all different. I mean, you could look at them; they're all different. You just stop being creatively inept. It's not hard.
Yeah,
it's not hard. Because Trick Williams, and I will say, I just want to point this out as well, because I don't feel like I give Trick Williams enough flowers just publicly. This character and what he's doing and the stepping up of what he's been able to do has been fantastic. Trick Williams is going to be a star.
Yeah, Trick Williams is a cool heel. He's been in the main event programs for a better part of like a month now. Javon Evans has had an insane push, and rightfully so. The dude is like insanely talented. He's AJ Styles, Shawn Michaels, and Finn Balor all rolled into one, in my opinion. You got Oba, who's Brock Lesnar, Farouk Ron Simmons, and I don't know, let's name somebody else, Vader, all rolled into one, in my opinion. And then you got Powerhouse Hobbs, Royce Keys. The dude is an absolute unit. He's a unit. And he could easily be Kevin Nash and Diesel mixed in with some other people too. You want to make him a bodyguard? Cool. You want to make him a heater? Cool. Go for it. But you can't sit back and tell me that you don't have anything for these guys because the common denominator is that they're all African-American. I ain't buying it. Then you're creatively inept. That's just me. Sorry.
No. I think you're absolute. Thank you for it's good to say it without saying it, thank you.
Listen, I have no place to speak on what that feels like because you're sitting back watching and you'd be like, why isn't he getting over? What I see is creatively, besides the 3 that I just named, minus Hobbs right now or Keys, they're just, if you're telling me because he looks like Oba and he moves like Oba, we can't do anything with him, you're a moron. Creatively, not you, creatively.
And I hate that narrative. I hate that. I absolutely, he's going to SmackDown because Oba's on Raw. Well, hold on, wait. Oba just showed SmackDown's a second, so hold on, and then 2, that narrative, again, like you said, leaves you creatively inept. Like, you mean to tell me you really can't figure out anything? You can't.
How many blonde athletic women do they have?
A plethora.
Okay, so I mean, like,
that's why Jada Parker feels like a breath of fresh air. That's why Lash Legend
is a breath of fresh air.
Exactly. That's why like people are clamoring to this difference. And so, thank you, Andrew, for allowing this point, because that's the bigger point that I really wanted to get to, is that WWE has this plethora of talent, but it seems like they don't tend to always move more.
Well, but at the end of the day, if it's like, and I understand when you're doing marketing, it's a tad different. You got to try and hit on all the demographics on a poster. You want to, because you don't want to alienate a demographic or a fan base that might be a fan of this demographic. But if you're sitting back and you're telling me I can't have Ray, Dragon Lee, and Dom on the same show or on top because they're all what?
Because they're
Ray Phoenix and Penta, and
right, because they're all Latino or like, give me a fucking break. Be better. Be better. All of them have unique characteristics if you could figure it out. And that's your job as creative to figure it out.
And you would think that why did they sign them? For a reason, because you think you have something for them, and then they end up not doing anything with them. And it's like, well, then why the hell did you sign them in the first place? Hobbs, Keys went to WWE because this is, that's where you want to ultimately go. A lot of wrestlers have that dream, but if you end up going there, especially after leaving a place that you were doing pretty well at, and the WWE doesn't have anything for you, it's like, what the hell was I doing? Why'd I even waste my time? I could have been somewhere else in programs and not just being left on the sidelines.
Yeah, we got to stop with this narrative too. Like, we got to stop with the whole, I told you about Royce Keys. Like, I knew WWE wasn't going to use him. I'm talking outside my mouth because that's how a lot of these people speak, out of both sides of their mouth. Royce Keys is going to be just fine. Just because you don't like WWE or don't follow their product, or you secretly watch it and you want to hate on it online because it's the cool thing to do, doesn't mean that every talent that goes over that doesn't get immediately pushed. It's been like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Like, give me a break. Let it develop. Let them figure it out. He's going to be fine. And when he's not fine after a year or 18 months, then we can come on here and say, man, they really didn't do him any favors. Just
Speaking of no favors, if you guys want to change gears a bit, did you guys watch Dynamite last night?
Nah, never saw a minute of it. I do want to put out a disclaimer here on Dynamite, Jordan. I give my quick reviews, right? They're like 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, truthfully, I'm just going to be honest with everybody because I feel like we're in a completely dishonest space. Sometimes I don't catch and I should, but I don't catch every detail because it's a quick review. And I'm also kids jumping around or whatever, or this or that, and brush their teeth, blah, blah. And it's not an excuse, but it's the truth. Sometimes I miss things. And what I missed last night was Hook. I did not see him sitting in the press box watching that triple threat tag match. And we'll talk about that. And there were some other nuances that I missed. I truly did.
I thought you were going to reference how you tried to correlate just because Tekla is from Austria. And
I made a joke about that. I said, yeah,
it looked like you were. Really. Yeah, I know.
It was real time. It was real time. My brain was like, Australia and Austria.
You're like, I don't know why I brought that up. That was fun to watch.
Well, no, it was just like in my head, I'm doing the quick review, and I'm like, Australia and Austria, not even close. And my head's like, nah. And I was just like, well, we're live, so
we're live.
It's not, but that's not what I was going to preface. What I'm prefacing is there are some things that I miss, and I had the time to go back and watch things today. And I have the full episode down and everything else like that. But in that moment, that's why I don't do long review shows. A, everyone's doing them. B, they suck. And 3, you saw that A, B, and 3. I did that on purpose. We're
talking about wrestling fans with low IQ here.
Right. You're missing
the pot calling the kettle Baydala.
You're missing things at times because all you're doing is quickly watching and not absorbing everything and not giving it time to settle in and rewatching it. So again, sometimes on my quick review shows, the videos I put out, I miss some things. I'm human. I'm a dad. So there's a lot of things going on, and I apologize for that. I should be better, truthfully.
You should be. Thank you for taking accountability, Andrew Baydala. That's what I call him.
Well, I wanted to toss to you guys some of the, one of the more particular things that people are talking about. They say the TV match of the year and a title change. You know what I'm saying?
AEW I would rival if across all companies. I'd say you have the Punk Balor match, which I think was one of the best TV matches thus far. And now we get to run that back on a PLE, so that'll be fun. But this was, at least for AEW's sake, this was.
But
damn.
Outside of so I'll tell you my thoughts about Dynamite.
Please do. The floor is yours.
I'm going to be saying this again. Dynamite was good, like from outside of everything out, outside of inside the bell were great. Excuse me, that's what I'm trying to say. From bell to bell, it was great. The wrestling was absolutely great. I think some of the decisions that we made after the bell, some of those I didn't really like. Why are we debuting Tommaso to win the title to then 11 days later lose said title and then we're not even like as far as we know right now, he's not reenacting his rematch. There is no rematch.
Right.
So
I don't know that yet.
I don't know that yet. The same story that we were at previously. So why have Ciampa come in just to pick up this title, just to drop it back off?
Okay, so here's where I kind of stand on it, and I can understand the confusion. Yet I don't want, and I'm not saying you are, but I don't want the AEW fans to like panic over that. I think what happened was, at large, the TNT title has been this back and forth, very competitive division ever since Kyle Fletcher won it back like last summer or whatever. Him, Mark Briscoe, and now Ciampa coming in. I like this back and forth. This is a workman's title. You're going to have the best matches for this championship more often than not. I think it's a matter of happenstance that, oh, Ciampa's contract's up. We can get him. Let's get him established and successful right out the gate, while also trying to serve the master of, we want Fletcher to go into Australia as champion and we could close the chapter with a ladder match. However, I think they probably could have bridged both of those gaps by even having Ciampa lose. You could have had him insert himself and have a triple threat ladder match instead of just saying game 7, only when you've never acknowledged the previous 6.
Better creative, in my opinion, than what they gave us. And this is my gripe with this, to Jordan and Juice's point. Okay. Jordan brought it up. I'm going to hammer it home. Okay. Here's the deal. I didn't mind the switch. I didn't mind the title switch. They have a lot invested in Kyle Fletcher, and I get that. And he's obviously got the machine behind him. That is AEW's machine, and they view him as a potential breakout and future star of the company. Fine. No problem. A couple things that bothered me with this was this match between Fletcher and Ciampa could have happened at Grand Slam. And how we get there is you could have had Fletcher and Briscoe 7 in a ladder match with the number 1 contendership contract or whatever hanging. They've done it before. They get it. But Fletcher signs it. The match happens in the main event of Grand Slam because it's a 2-hour and 30-minute program. That same night, Fletcher wrestles twice, becomes the Australian Iron Man, and wins the TNT Championship from Ciampa. Because now what you've done is you've basically pushed Ciampa to the side and basically make him look like a bag of nothing. To have a Briscoe Fletcher ladder match, and I get it. Fletcher walking into the building as champion is going to be big. I get it. It's his hometown. Fine. It's his home country, I should say. Fine. I get it. But you could have done this differently. And hindsight's always 20/20. But if the booking strategy and if the marketing and promotion of this was to have Fletcher walk in with all this pomp and circumstance or whatever, why not have the moment in front of his home country? Have the ladder match kick off the show for the number 1 contendership and have the guy close. He bookends like Brett. And he's the Iron Man of Australia and wins the TNT title.
And we also don't know, because you brought up no rematch clause or just no rematch, right, with Ciampa. For all we know, the winner of this ladder match, whoever's champion, could easily face Ciampa at the next Dynamite. But
sure, but Juice.
To not acknowledge it ahead of time, it means nothing.
He wins the title, and this is where sometimes it's like I wish he won't reach out for me for creative input because he's got so many legends and all this other stuff. And truthfully, like I'm just an observer. I'm just a fan, not a subscriber of the Observer. But I sit back and I see things, and for me, it's like you have Fletcher win, and then Briscoe. And nothing against Briscoe, love the dude. He interrupts Fletcher, and it's like we're gonna have match number 7, and Fletcher's like, yeah, it's gonna be a ladder match. You could have not had the TNT Championship match on Dynamite, and you could have had Fletcher have a match on Dynamite, not against Ciampa, and Briscoe comes out and says, hey, you're not booked on your hometown or your home country yet. Well, I just got word from Tony Khan. Me and you were in a ladder match to determine the number 1 contender for the TNT title. And again, there's people would still be invested in it. I just don't understand where Ciampa goes from here. And I understand that there's more weeks of television, but you made Ciampa the champion. And then all of a sudden it's like, get out because we got to do a best of 7. I mean, did anybody know that they were tied 3-3? Because I didn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're saying game 7. They're saying game 7 as if they've acknowledged it from the beginning as a best of 7, which I wish they would do.
The problem.
And I wish there was just why couldn't they just add Ciampa to this match and make it a ladder match?
The biggest issue is Ciampa, to his credit, came in and in 2 matches has risen the bar. Ciampa came in, had a fantastic barn burner with Briscoe, turns around, has an almost even better match with Briscoe. he has raised the bar. So that's why most people are looking, and it's like, yo, what are you going to do with him? What are you going to do with him? Because if you wanted him to just come in and have great matches, he can do that. You didn't have to sacrifice the TNT title for that.
But to that point, we've talked about this. We got to go back, okay? He interrupts or debuts against Briscoe, challenges him, and wins. All right. All things they should have done, in my opinion. You don't want to debut a guy and have a schmaz and beat him because his stock plummets. They made Ciampa somebody you need to take notice of in AEW and in the TNT title picture. Again, this is all what you do afterwards. Anybody could book, but it's what you do that keeps people invested week after week and month after. Where are we going 3 months from now? Where are we going 4 months from now? What are we doing next week? And a lot of times with AEW, it doesn't compute.
Unless Ciampa is going heel and interrupting this ladder match, which personally I think is a great. Little bit, because
I care about the match happening with Ciampa involved. Like, get these three guys in a match, but the fact that they already eliminated it,
I need Briscoe and Fletcher to be done. Okay,
sure,
to be done. Right. Finish it. Be done.
Another thing that happened from Dynamite, we're getting Kenny Omega and Swerve.
Yep.
I will say this. I just want to throw it out there. This is a speculation that this is Kenny's possible write-off. Because he's not going to be at Revolution.
Why?
He has his Capcom. He has an event that he's going to be going to that he's already he's already pre-scheduled for.
Where is it?
What is this event?
Okay, so timing wise, he would have to leave very early. I'll just put it to I've already put it, I don't have the exact details of where it is. I want to say it's it's not a too far of a flight, but he already has pre-commitments. And so there is a small speculation that this is a way to write him off. So I want to ask, what do you guys think of the potential happening?
All right. So what Jordan's talking about, I didn't know this. Dave Meltzer put out Kenny Omega is booked in Japan for a Capcom event during the week of the Revolution pay-per-view. So I don't think he's going to be on that show at all.
Yes.
Street Fighter 6 specifically.
Yes.
Right. Cool.
He has the whole event and he has meet and greets and things like that. Yes.
Listen,
as if he couldn't get to Japan or LA from Japan in a quicker time.
Listen,
not to say that he couldn't, but
go ahead,
all they need to do is make this match official for Revolution after their Dynamite match in some sort of stipulation. Get Kenny the fuck in and get Kenny the fuck out of Japan. I am tired of having, and I want these guys to be successful outside of the wrestling business. But at the end of the day, when you sit on television and you hammer home, and it's not all Kenny's fault. I'm not putting all the blame on Kenny at all. If Tony and them knew that Kenny needed to be somewhere during Revolution, then again, you should book around that. And we don't know what they're going to do on Dynamite. But if Kenny Omega's not on Revolution, it's a miss. You got to figure it out. Enough of this stuff. You got to figure it out.
He can be at this event for a few days and leave before the final event is Sunday. So if he gets out of there, he can be in LA for the pay-per-view.
He would have to leave very early, and Tony would have to give him a jet.
Tony will give him a jet.
And again, it's Japan to LA. It's not. It's closer than going.
Yeah, it's not the farthest flight, but it's also not like.
Yeah, we're gonna have people looking up flight times.
well, that's been the speculation because they're saying and this is just me. I put my little fantasy booker hat on. I think this is where we possibly see a Swerve heel turn to write him off.
Somebody said, what's there to figure out? I don't know. Getting one of your biggest stars on your pay-per-view. What the fuck are we talking about here?
Yeah.
You would hate me. You would hate me. You would hate me in creative meetings. Hate me. What do we got to figure out? We got to figure out why one of the biggest stars that we have is going to miss another pay-per-view.
And then not only that, you just released a T-shirt with him and the Young Bucks on it. Like, why wouldn't you want? Come on, like.
And he's missing a pay-per-view not due to injury, which is a very normal reason.
He's
this is
not
for
on
a prior commitment that I get.
Did Kenny Omega miss World's End?
I think.
I can't recall.
Yeah, I think
because he
did.
returned on like a Dynamite.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, like, people are invested, and they always have been, in Kenny. The fans love Kenny Omega. He is like the face, one of the faces of AEW. And now he's going to miss potentially another pay-per-view. I'm not having it. Figure it out. Figure it out. If this was my company, I'm just saying, figure it out. Come on. What do we have to figure out? What do we have to figure out?
Would you say then make it, so another match with Swerve, possibly Revolution, would be your guess?
I think there should be some sort of stipulation in the Swerve Omega match at Revolution. Yeah. We got Big Grab saying he's scheduled for the Capcom Cup in Tokyo Sumo Hall, scheduled from the 11th to the 15th, or 13th. Revolution is on the 15th. Great.
That's what I said. If it's done earlier, he can easily make the show in LA.
Listen, I like Dave Meltzer, but anything's possible. All right. We got private jets. We got private planes. We got private cars.
Private party returning.
Private party. That's where I was going with that.
So that's a great pivot. We have the return of Private Party after a year.
Right.
This is not so. And I bring that up because Tony, in his great due diligence as a owner of 3 different franchises, recently talked about another person. Four. Another person who we haven't seen in a long time. So to stop being cryptic, Private Party shows up after a year. It seems like everything's smoothed over. He recently talked about Britt Baker and saying that he probably expects her back in AEW more so than not. So I would like to throw it up to you guys about what do you think about Private Party's return? And what do you think about Tony's recently? Because they're kind of tied to each other. They've both been gone for almost about the same amount of time.
I wish, and I said this, I think it's been close to a year now. I wish Britt the best in whatever she decides to do next. I said that a year ago.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen Britt Baker on television, on AEW television. And I think Britt is just fine doing what she's doing right now. I think this is one of the few people who do not need the professional wrestling business. But at the end of the day, I could easily see Britt Baker in WWE, and I could easily see Britt Baker not being in AEW. I could easily see Britt maybe doing a small thing in AEW before she splits, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, when you say like Tony brought her up, like, oh, I expect her to see her back. What else is he gonna say?
Right.
He's not gonna say, oh, that's the end of that, or I guarantee she'll be back.
He's a smart guy. He's played coy. He's played coy before about certain.
Well, Jordan, here, I'll break this down for you. We'll do this real quick. I'm an interviewer. Hey, Tony, would you like to speak on Britt Baker and when she's going to return? And is there a possibility she shows up in AEW? He says, right now, we don't really have anything for Britt Baker, and I don't know the next time you'll see her. Then the next question follow-up is, so are you telling me creative has nothing for a woman like Britt Baker? And then Tony looks like a jackass, and so does his creative team. So he's smart. It's an easy way to just be like, next question. Next question.
So then I pivot and say why. Well, first off, I'll say we cannot, shall not, will not comment on like anything personal of these wrestlers and what may or may not have happened. So we don't exactly know, when it comes to Private Party. So I don't want to speak on their absence, but what do you think about the return?
Well, I'll touch on this. The thing that I didn't touch on in my review was the fact that Hook was in a press box because he is now the de facto leader of the Hops, watching a returning Private Party, or was he watching the Rascals? I don't think he has anything to do with the Young Bucks joining the Ops, but Private Party's from the New York area. That's where Hook's from as well. So there's no such thing as coincidence. So you have Private Party come back after a year-long absence. Hook is watching him. He's trying to recruit. And whether or not Private Party ends up in the ops, we'll have to wait and see. I think Hook's going to start. I would have, if it's me, how I would have booked Hook recruiting, I would have had that homeboy in the suite the whole time. And I would have been, he would have been shown at the beginning of the show and at the end of the show. Because then you get people like myself and all these other people scrambling to be like, well, Hook's watching everybody. Who's going to be in the ops? And that's a story that people could stick their teeth into. And they did that with this because he's watching either the Rascals or Private Party. But I don't think there's any coincidence that a New York tag team comes back after a year and Hook's watching them.
And hopefully what you say comes to fruition and they do join up maybe with a guy like Hook, considering the outrage there was that, Private Party's been gone for a year and they come back and they lost their first match. I'm sorry, because do they have to win every single match? And that's coming from a guy who loves their finishing maneuver because it's one of my favorite drinks. Still, you can't win every match. Gin and juice. You can't win every match.
So I had to get him to say it. Do you believe that, because there was all this hoopla that Private Party was headed to WWE, do you think that, I asked the both of you, think that maybe the negotiations fell through or the better offer came from Tony after losing, presumably, which I could just go on the record and say Jericho is not coming back to AEW, and he's in WWE. I just don't know when he's going to show up, and I'm not going to put my name to anything else. But losing Jericho, losing Hobbs, do you think this was something where Tony was like, I got to keep these guys?
Probably. But like you brought up, if there's something more creative for them to do, like join up with a Hook and do so, that's kind of out of their realm. I mean, they'll still be a tag team, but being a part of a larger group would be something that they're not really used to.
They were part of the Hardy Andrade thing.
Hell of a team name.
The mishmash of people we don't know what to do with, so we're just going to slam them in a group.
Yeah, so this is a more refined team with a connection to New York, like Drew said, and I think if that's presented on a table to them, they're probably like, all right, that's something we can sink our teeth into, and
they
got offered a good
Party,
amount of money, and there you go.
They had a backstage interview. I don't know if anybody saw, where they did say that they would be moving a little bit differently. So, Andrade family, Hardy. Yeah, there it was.
And you know what?
Very memorable tag team name.
Yeah, to Juice's point here, and Jordan brought up the topic, Private Party can win even in defeat. Truthfully, they can if they're a part of the ops.
Be over even if you're not going over. And that's,
And that's the other thing, to talk about being over, right? In AEW, my biggest thing is everyone talks about how great matches are and they're bangers. And I'm with you. Last night had very, very good professional wrestling on it. It always does. What puts asses in the seats? Stories that people could sink their teeth into. And I have a lot of questions coming out of last night's Dynamite. We had a shock value in turning 2 new champions on television. I loved it. Where are we going with this now? What's happening? Kenny and Swerve have a story. Hook has a story. He's leading the ops. Everything else kind of felt like, where are we going? What are we doing?
So outside of the Ciampa thing, I can tell. I feel like I can help fill in a little bit of blanks. Tekla needed to win that title. She could not
100%.
challenge. She
100%.
could not challenge again and lose again. Yeah. And the way this women's division is currently set up, you need some chasers right now. Like lack of better words, the entire women's division was conglomerated to 3 particular people, and they were all good guys. So you had to make a drastic change. I won't say drastic, but you had to make a change.
Who are the top 3 women in your opinion during that? Like who is it?
The top 3 women in AEW right now, currently, would be, I'd say Tekla.
I'm going to remove Tekla. I'm going to remove Tekla. The top 3 women.
Oh, okay.
Now.
I would say that
Tony
Storm, Megan Bayne.
What? Tony Storm, Mercedes Moné are absolutely the top 2.
Mercedes Moné has not been on TV in the past 3 weeks.
Stop it. I'm not talking about wins and losses. This is
not about it's not about her TV time. She's clearly one of the biggest
You're
stars.
right. We're not talking about wins and losses. The last time I saw her, she lost, and I haven't seen her since.
Jordan.
But I have. But hold on. I have seen Megan Bain whoop some ass.
Bro,
as a
I
part of a
Megan
tag
Bain.
team, but I don't
First
think
of all,
she's
I
more
like-
popular than
I like
Mercedes
Bane's-
Moné.
Yeah, I like Bainzilla more than the next guy. But what I'm telling you is that if somebody pops on the screen, who's over, who's selling merch, who's drawing people to the building, it's 100% Tony, it's 100% Mercedes Moné, and who do you think would be the third? I think this is a toss-up. But the top two are
Willow
undeniable.
Nightingale. Yeah, I can agree with those. I would say probably Willow Nightingale, then maybe, if not,
I think
Chris,
Willow is I think Willow's up. I think that's, like I said, I think it's debatable. But go ahead. I think Willow.
Yeah, if not Willow, then give me then give me Jamie Hayter.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate that. I'm gonna go with
Maybe at
think
a
it's
point. I wouldn't say now. And a lot of the women that you even brought up are a part of tag teams now, so they're elevating the division and their tag team partners as a whole. When
I'm gonna
Mercedes
say
is on
I'm gonna say it's a tie, the third between Willow, in my opinion. It's a kind of like a three-way tie. It's Willow, it's Athena, and it's Stat. Those three, in my opinion, are fight. And this is not a knock on Tekla, but she is not, and she'll get there maybe. That's why they put the championship on her. Sometimes you need that. But I mean, you are, if anybody is coming on to any show and stating that the top three draws in AEW are Megan Bain, I'm not knocking you, Jordan. I'm just saying, like, you got to realize who sells tickets and who's marketable. There is no doubt about. I like Julia Hart. I'm not putting her in the top three. She's not even top five, and because she's just not. She's not given the time to get over in AEW. Who's given the time? Tony, Monet, and probably Willow.
Well, the reason I push back just a little bit, because you wouldn't send this woman to Mexico if she wasn't over.
I get that, but I'm talking about to the mass. You might be buying a ticket to see Megan Bain versus Athena. Okay, you might be like, bro, that's a match I want to see big time. All right, but how many more people are going to buy? And that's not a knock on either of these women. The biggest,
I think this is a healthy conversation.
AEW doesn't give a lot of these people you're naming meaningful equity on television. It's always Tony and it's always Monet, and they deserve it. Monet hasn't been seen in a little bit here. I get it.
I'd even say Marina Shafir is higher up on the totem pole.
Good point.
Oh, Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron gets a ton of time.
So then to be solution based, what do you think? Because we've toyed about it before, and I guess we can say it again. Is the solution really just adding another 30 minutes of television?
No, and again, I named Julia Hart. People in my mind who don't get enough credit on AEW.
I'd say her and Sky Blue. I think they both come as a package.
This is not an attack on these women
we know,
as professional wrestlers, because they're absolutely fantastic. Julia Hart, I like DeMonte, I like Anna Jay, I like a lot of these people, like Athena, but at the end of the day, they're not getting television time. They're not getting a ton of it, and they're not getting meaningful storylines, which prevents them from getting over. I would push the shit out of Julia Hart. I'd push the shit out of Jamie Hayter. Camille, where the hell's Camille been? I mean, that type of stuff.
Give me Camille versus Megan Bain right now.
And I like Stat, but at the end of the day, AEW gives meaningful time to two women all the time. And it's because they're over, truthfully. And that's Toni Storm and Monet.
And that you have to also frame it in, that's the only time that they're being allocated per week anyway. So and I'm not saying to add a show or add anything, but like when you're only getting 2 or 3 women's segments per Dynamite or Collision, you have to maximize them. And if you're not a part of a tag team and you're kind of floating out there as a single star, you might not be on TV every week. And that's
Jordan,
just
how good is Red Velvet? How good is Rio? We don't see a lot of these talents weekly.
Queen Aminata, don't get me started. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of talent. One thing AEW will never be in lack of, and that's talent. They will always have talent.
There's only so much television time you could provide these men and women with.
Having a lot of talent's a great thing, but it's also a horrible thing, because you only have 4 hours a week on main AEW TV to put them over.
Which is why
you got to pick and choose, and you got to continue it too. You can't go back and forth.
I have campaigned for months, maybe even a year now, to get Collision off of Saturday nights. No, I'm not trying to be mean. Majority of the fan base does not watch it live. We consume television very differently and media very differently. Move the son of a bitch to Sunday nights, just like Sunday Night Heat, and have it where you could showcase, and Collision does have this, you could showcase some of the talent that doesn't get a ton of equity, television time on Dynamite. People can invest in that, and then they can make the jump to Dynamite, and they can have meaningful television on Dynamite. Tekla won the women's championship, and to Jordan's point, I said it before the match happened. I don't know if you could beat her again. The first time you beat her, I was like, didn't lose anything. She didn't lose her equity, didn't lose momentum. You have a stipulation match, and it's for the championship again. You beat her again. I'm not going to give a shit about this woman, and I'm not going to take her credible. It's the same thing that happens in NXT when they make the jump from NXT to the main roster, and it's changed. But you invest in these NXT talents, and you get behind them, and then it's going to the main roster, and you're like, whoa. What do I watch this programming for? They're just going to end up leaving, and I invested my time and equity, and they're not even the same character, and they're not even getting the same push in WWE on Raw and SmackDown. It sucks. So they changed it, and AEW, in my opinion, should change it. They should, because then you could build more stars. This company has a lot of aging vets who are still very much over, but you want to leave the place better than you found it. Otherwise, there'll be no place for you to return. And I think the vets need to start putting over these younger talents, men and women, so that AEW can grow and can be here for the next, it'll be here for the next 10 years because Tony's got buku bucks. But do you really want fans to invest? Or do you want this to be the place where some aging vets come in, continue to get their shine, get millions of dollars, and then say, see you.
So I ask, because you said you had a few questions from last night. What other questions from last night do you have?
Sure. What the fuck we doing with Tekla? New champion. Better book her good. She just beat Stat. Stat beat some who's, bro, in that women's division. Okay, she beat Monet in Jersey. Yeah. All right.
So because I think that's because Juice, you were talking about how some of the women I was speaking of were in tag teams. And I think this is the problem that we're having, is that ideally you would want to see Jamie Hayter and Tekla, especially because Jamie Hayter's a face. Well, she's in a tag team now. Megan Bayne and Tekla don't make sense. They were just
Jordan. If they put the strap on Tekla, this is not a knock on Jamie Hayter. But you better put Jamie Hayter on television for the next 3-4 weeks, and she better be in meaningful television for me to want to see a Tekla versus Jamie Hayter title match, because I don't want Tekla's first opponent to be a fucking Joan from Walmart. I want her to have some serious equity. Like, why do I care?
You're going to put her up against Toni Storm again?
I didn't say that. I said if you're going to give Hayter a title shot, she better have meaningful moments leading up to this pay-per-view on television. You have to invest. This is not professional sports where wins and losses, you're like, all right, they're off to the championship game because they were undefeated.
Yeah, by de facto, you need a story to back people. You have a month out of a pay-per-view. You have a new champion. So, maybe you get a Stat rematch. Maybe Stat goes against the Jamie Hayter or something. Winner gets the shot at Tekla. Numerous things, but to Drew's point, to whoever is that next person, they better be on TV at least. We got 5 weeks until the pay-per-view. Yeah. Four out of those 5 weeks, at least on Dynamite, maybe on Collision, they're appearing as well. That person should be on TV, and especially once they're in the match and it's confirmed, they should have segments with Tekla or alongside her and in parallels to build that feud. Otherwise, like your point, no one will care.
Yeah, Jordan, let me ask you a question. Do you think Chelsea Green will be a women's world champion by 2027?
Well, she hurt her ankle.
Or should she?
Juice, I'm going to punch you in the face.
She broke her ankle, so she can't be.
Go ahead.
So do I think she will be? No. Should she be? Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll stop you right there. Okay. What did Unreal do for Chelsea Green? It made people give her sympathy because the quote unquote creative team believes that there's a ceiling for her and she's just this and she can't be with that and everything else like that. The work within the work. What they did which they always do, they manipulated the fan base and they poured sympathy on her so that now the uproar and the rising is Chelsea's got to get to that next level, just like Sami Zayn. They're telling the same story they did with Cody, minus the whole pop and circumstance and finish the story that they're doing with Sammy. He lost in Saudi Arabia. He's never lost. He didn't beat Big Bad Drew McIntyre. He's going to go to the Royal Rumble next year. He's going to win the Rumble. Then he's going to win the big one in Saudi Arabia. That's what you need to do with these characters. Otherwise, nobody gives a shit. I don't care that you could do a 450. I don't care that you could do a 720. I don't care that you could do a shooting star press and then flip it into a sunset flip. Fucking Poison Rana. I don't care. Why am I watching you?
And
what story are you telling?
I want to add to that, Drew, and to AEW's credit, why they are such a great alternative to WWE is because they have established an incredible in-ring style that's unmatched, right? But at some point, if you want to grow, we're 6 years into this thing for AEW. If you want to grow and grab even the tiniest of percentages of fans that might watch WWE, you're going to have to create and continue great stories throughout your programming. You have to build even from the bottom up. You have to make people care other than just in-ring, because at some point, even the sickos will get sick of, well, that was a great match, because you see great matches every week, every month. At some point, you need to be invested. That's why the Tony Storm Mariah May thing was so damn good. Yeah. Oh my God, a great story plus amazing matches. That's the thing. And it's not to say they don't have stories, but imagine if every great pay-per-view match that they put on had great stories. AEW would be in a higher echelon for a lot of wrestling fans.
Jordan, I understand that the way that you look at professional wrestling, because me and you have talked, and I understand your fandom and everything else like that. You are a professional wrestling fan in its purest art form, and I love and respect that. But to this point right here by Big Graphs, Tekla versus Toni Storm really helped Tekla here. How? Toni can't lose to her. She just won the championship. Toni is the mountaintop. If you want to build that up for All In, I'm here for it. I am here for it. But there's got to be a story. There's got to be a redemption. There's got to be a monumental moment, all that other shit. And they don't have it right now.
Just wrestling someone isn't a story. Like that doesn't automatically give you, oh, I have a story with Toni Storm just because I'm wrestling Toni Storm now. And I know that sometimes it can elevate the talent, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have anything going. I need more meat on the bone. I need more juice in the box.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Let's address this, and then Jordan, go ahead. Don't spoil shit in our thumbnails blocking this channel, brother. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm sorry that you haven't watched Monday Night Raw
from
4 days ago, and I'm sorry that you didn't catch Dynamite. My bad, bro.
You might have to replace your VCR.
Oh no! I've been some of the comments. I love doing this.
He got the attention. He got the attention he wanted. You got the attention
for free.
There you go.
No, I will say this though. I'm a little worried about what they do with Tekla, because the first defense has to be her first two defenses got to be good. She can't be a one and done champion. I don't care to see
meaningful Jordan.
Meaningful. But to your point, you're just saying defenses. Like I could care. Like the matches are going to happen. I want, why is the match going to happen? Because you're going to have a great match.
Who's Tekla friends with? To Juice's point,
have Sky Blue turn on her or something. Something.
I can invest in that, Jordan.
People already like those people.
Yeah, your friends turn against you.
Why
you know what that's like?
I could see that. Like, yeah, but what I would like to see is maybe you have, if she's cool, a Ruby Soho come back and want to claim she had a family.
All right.
So
God bless her. Good luck. God bless.
Yeah,
we know that's not genuine, Drew. You can't.
Oh yeah, fucking coach, right?
Although
he did put out something very nice about my friend who passed away, Jim Shank. Made condolences to his family and everything he's done for WWE. God bless him, and he will absolutely be missed. He a true friend and a true man's man. So yes, but to your point, I mean, Ruby Soho, okay. but give me something I could sink into. Tekla's first opponent doesn't need to be earth-shattering and groundbreaking. It doesn't need to be the top of the top two. I don't need Tekla and Monet. You know what I need? Something to sink my teeth into.
What if Tekla gets some help from Sky Blue or Julia in the match to win, and she goes, I don't need your help. And even if it's not a heel turn from Julia or Sky Blue, it's just some inner turmoil can create a story within the group.
Sure.
And that's all I want, just a little story.
Jordan, I'm going to ask you this because I know how big of a fan you are of the art of professional wrestling. You, Tony Khan, and others, and I respect it. But I'm going to ask you, at what point do the best matches stop becoming something that's the only selling point, right? So you can put the best versus the best, and that's a very New Japan-ish style, right? But is that going to continue to work? Because we want to see AEW, and I know you do as well, get over 1 million. And I want them to be, at the top and everything else like that. I don't care who's at the top, whether it's AEW, WWE. I just care about meaningful and good programming. But
this is a really good question, and I'm glad that you asked, because I get some of the narrative that I lean very towards AEW, and I do sometimes. But I think this is a great point to where I want to talk about. There needs to be a nice, healthy balance of really good bell to bell, and then I also need something to sink my teeth into. And what I was able to sink my teeth into and was also really good bell to bell recently was AJ Styles and John Cena. That was a really good match. John pulled out all the stops. Obviously, AJ pulled out the shorts and whatnot, pulled out all the stops. And that was also, there was history between the beat up John Cena. There was him on his, this is the last time is now. So I was able to sink my teeth into it. And so there was a nice balance of great bell to bell, and I was a story outside of that.
See, for me, that was very put together via the internet, which John was smart to do. And it was kind of like John's crossing off the opponents he needs to have because he had a great feud with AJ. And I really didn't think there was too much story there. Now, the match, Jordan, to your point, was awesome. Awesome. Blew my expectations out of the water. But story-wise, I mean, all they did.
Sometimes a match of a test of respect, a test of strength, so to speak. And again, given their history, given that there were at the times murmurs of AJ Styles potentially retiring, after Cena, knowing that he was going to retire. So this was this is the last time that we are going to see these two ever lock up.
Right,
for sure.
Let me ask you. I just don't know if. Sorry, but I just don't know if John Cena is retiring for sure, and maybe AJ Styles is going to retire next year. Let's just have a match. I don't know how much of that is a story. That just seems like happenstance.
The match was great, but this just seemed like something where John was just and AJ and the booking team was just hey, want to have John AJ? Hell yeah, let's do it. That's how that story came together. I'm going to ask you, Jordan, because I know how knowledgeable you are. What are the two best programs you've seen AEW do? Well, is it just matches, or what? Give me something that you really sunk your teeth into.
Again, the Hangman Swerve, saga.
A lot of story there, Jordan. A ton. Of story,
but those two also delivered in the ring.
For sure.
But I think you're gonna know the ring is gonna always be as guaranteed as it can be, especially on pay-per-view. That's why I'm saying even if they have a shred of solid story in these matches to pay off ultimately, then you have something going.
So Swerve and Hangman's a great choice because there is a ton of story behind that. They are former friends. Now they hate each other. A lot of people compare them to Rock and Austin, which to me is nuts, but it is what it is. It's AEW's version of it. So
yes, it's not comparing them apples to apples.
I love you. I'm just, listen, I got to throw some rights and lefts at you too. And here's the thing. I love it because burnt down his house. Then they had to be forced to a tag team, which I saw legs in, and they went away from that. And now they're, vying for the title and all this other, the world title and all this other stuff. So I like that. But there's a lot to that, Jordan. There's a lot to that story. What else worked for you in AEW?
I mean, that was a nice, healthy balance. I'll go even before, and I'll go with the ladies' side with the Hollywood ending.
Yeah, Mariah May and Toni Storm, a lot. That was a year long, I believe, right? Was it a year long? Yeah. Mariah gets her moment. Then Tony and her get into this feud. Tony loses herself. There were so many nuances. And that's when AEW and professional wrestling is at its best. To Juice's point and to my point, the in-ring stuff with AEW will never miss. Look at their roster. It'll never miss.
And they pride themselves on it. Their main tagline is "We're the best wrestler." Now, if they tell a little story in there, how much better can it be?
When are we going to get to a point where AEW takes the next step? It's when I think people can invest in their stories. WCW took the next step because they signed all of these where the big boys play. They had all of these top-level talents, but what did people get invested into? The NWO.
There are other stories that it's just that people like to conveniently forget that have the nice balance. I'll go with a Hangman, Swerve, Will Ospreay versus the EVPs, because then we saw the story then play out of the Broke Bucks. We never would have gotten the Broke Bucks if it wasn't the story of the pseudo EVP title being up for grabs.
Bingo. But what I'm saying, you're naming things and you're not wrong. You're 100% right. What right now do you have that I'm talking storyline wise in AEW right now that we're sinking our teeth into? We're gonna sink our teeth into the abolish ICE shit, okay? But that's not stupid on AEW to hammer that home because it's worldwide, right? It's a trending topic. It's something that's crazy, that's unheard of, that is just absolutely gross that's going on right now in our country.
Now I can't, because right now, you can't tell me that you're super invested in Brody and MJF outside of, outside of the outside stuff, right? You can't say that. Okay, cool. Okay, Andrade, but he doesn't have. You're invested in more of the person rather than the story of Andrade right now because he's having a great run.
Andrade has some legs,
but like, what story does he have right now? He's just on a great run. You can
the
maybe
FTR
say
Bucks thing is very new, okay?
But we've seen it before.
But it's right.
You can maybe say this Briscoe Fletcher stuff because they've had.
But they're about to conclude it, so it's really at the end. So I don't see it as like a great current story. They're just trying to finish out the match.
Yeah, we are almost headed to All In. Like we are just a few. What are we like? 6 months, right?
We starting. Will Ospreay had some vignettes.
Okay, but are we just holding until Will gets back before we're gonna pick up? Business is gonna pick up. I'm asking, what are the other things here?
There's a certain gentleman that I think that's going to show up on Saturday that we have not talked about for a long time.
All right, who's that?
Jay White.
Oh, okay. Well, what are we doing with Jay White?
Oh, I think I think you can get a nice heavyweight championship story out of Jay White and possibly Hangman. Because I don't know what the guns.
Half the roster's challenging for the AEW title at this point. You're gonna have a story.
If they don't have a 6-pack challenge at Revolution at this point, if there's not a 6-pack challenge at Revolution for the World Championship, I don't know what we're doing.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a chance for Tony, because Tony is a guy who loves nostalgia. And Tony, please be listening. You could have a chance to do a 6-man Armageddon match that wrestling fans have been clamoring for a long time. And when I say match, we have never seen in that 6-man Hell in a Cell at Armageddon, we've never seen 6 top guys face off all at one time.
Sure.
We've never seen that happen again.
Sure.
We've seen it in the lower mid card, but we've never seen it in the top of the card where the top, literally 1 through 6 are in a match. We've never seen that. And Tony has an opportunity to give us a Hangman, a Swerve, a Kenny, a Brody King, a Jay White. Like, you could throw these different Andrade in there and make this crazy 6-pack. I just
I'd like to see it, and you can have MJF still sneak out of that as champion.
And that would be a great story. And that would be a great story. And you still keep the rest of those guys strong. You have this story of MJF still kind of skating off by his teeth because he's this heel run, championship run for him he's not necessarily a chicken shit heel, but he's not a domineering, fearing heel as well. He kind of strides the line between both, and I like it. But I like, to you guys' point, I need a little bit more story to feed on to right now. Sure, I will admit that.
And again, I think a lot of the people who cover this for a living, miss some of the things, including myself at times. But at the end of the day, like, we have to pay attention to what stories they're trying to tell. And right now, we're heading into Grand Slam Australia, which is a big show. And the major thing is Brody and MJF, which there's a story there. There is. Brody beat MJF. He was distracted by Hangman. You got Hangman and Andrade, who are fighting for the number one contendership for the World Championship. There's a story there. And then you got a tag team match and you got some other things. And I get it. There's a little bit of story there. But Fletcher and Briscoe, in my opinion, having the 7th match, I wish we would have announced we're doing a best of 7, okay? But as we get to Revolution has always been a very big pay-per-view for AEW. Not to say that some of them aren't, but Revolution really stands out, and it's LA. Where are we headed? What are we doing with Andrade? If Hangman beats him, what are we doing with Andrade? Because MJF and the Cowboy have already kind of locked up, have they not?
I'm not sure Hangman does win. I think Andrade might actually win.
But is Swerve screwing Hangman? And then are we getting to the point where Tony has to step in and be like, all right, you know what? Andrade won, so he's getting his match against MJF. But, we got to figure out Swerve and Hangman here. So they're going to have a match and the winner can get put in. Like, at the end of the day, I'm here for stories, but tell me.
I think what we do, because I think it, to me, and again, Tony, please be listening. So we kind of cooled down the idea of Hangman and Swerve as a team. Cool, fine. We're gonna let Swerve do this thing with Kenny.
Hate it.
But in this match, we're forgetting that Andrade, he got like 8 people behind him. So they could very well easily help him beat Hangman. Hangman needs now it's officially Hangman versus the Don Callis family. He cannot do it alone. He realized that the path doing it alone is not the path that he wants to go on anymore. And so he links up with a possible Swerve. He links up with the possible Kenny Omega again. I would like to see that, and I would like to see Andrade get that opportunity. I know he's probably not going to win, but I would like to see because if you ask me, I think Andrade will be the first Mexican champion for AEW, if not Bandito. But I would like somehow, some way, if it's not going to be a draw, and I don't want to see a draw because they do too many draws in AEW, but I would like to see Andrade come out on top. I don't want to see Hangman and MJF, not right now.
And Hangman's, listen, just like when he beat Omega and just like when he beat, I believe it was Swerve, Hangman is protected. So he could lose this in terms of like, he's not going to lose any equity or stock, but you got to tell a proper story, in my opinion, on how he gets beat. Is it because of Swerve? Is it because of somebody else? How's Brody going to lose this match in Australia? Truthfully, because you want to keep him established, because beating your champion, albeit, by distraction and quick and everything else like that, he's got momentum. You don't want to stall that, truthfully. So what are we doing? We can't just sit back and be like, you want to know what? This guy can wrestle and that guy can wrestle. Like, doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. But I don't know what you do for Revolution. Revolution right now, it's a lot is depending on Saturday. Like I said, I think Jay White needs to come in. We don't really. It's kind of predicted, yes, that MJF is going to walk out, but how? What's going to happen in there? Like, Saturday is going to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I also think it's kind of, again, I understand why, but Swerve not at least being on the show Saturday is kind of like weird to me. I know he has this match with Kenny, but again, I think this is a time where you don't have we're still a month out and you're competing against here in 2 weeks, an elimination chamber. You just pull out your star in a special show like this where it's not going to be live, but yet it's on a Saturday and it's still, you're expecting me to you make this big show. You should have pulled out your big stars. This show, Saturday show, yes, it's going to be good, but like it also is kind of lacking some stars.
Good point, Jordan. We have the Olympics. It's a tape show. Are they going to pull the trigger on something crazy that makes you tune in? Because we just saw 2 title changes on Dynamite, which is kind of like very much out of the norm, but it makes people and fans be like, man, I got to watch Dynamite because I never know what's going to happen.
And that's so I Revolution, just like Abel saying in the comments, it's just so up in the air. Juice, what do you have any? Because we're a couple, almost a month away officially. Yeah, just about a month away. But we have this Grand Slam show on Saturday. What do you think?
I mean, I think, like you said, a lot of stuff has to to whatever we get at Revolution, some of that could be beginning that determination at Grand Slam. I think, a match we haven't even talked about is that mixed tag, where I think Toni Storm is going to take the fall and have an incredible run as shaved, and she'll keep it, but then she'll maybe wear a wig or 5. And I think she's the person to make that incredible, because everybody wants it to be Wheeler Yuta, especially after what he did to Mina
or Marina Shafir. I think people want to see a bald Marina Shafir.
I want to see bald Toni Storm, because I think there's a lot of good stuff there. I think there's a lot of stuff that she could make incredible TV, and that's what I want. I want good TV that's not necessarily in ring, because we're going to get great in ring. What else do you got to show me? It's a buffet.
And that's the whole point of that conversation we had. And again, to the point of having 2 new champions on Dynamite, it makes the show unpredictable. You can't do that week after week. You can't even do it month after month, because people will be like, the unpredictability, the holy shit stops. It becomes almost like, this is what they're going to do because they need to pop a rating. And at the end of the day, you don't want to do that. But now Dynamite becomes something where you're like, hey, you never know what's going to happen on Dynamite, and you got to tune in. And it was smart. Do they change the world championship on a tape show in Australia where everyone's going to know? I don't know. I don't know.
It's been done before, Mankind.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's not something out of the norm, but I mean, is Toni Storm going to lose her hair? To Juice's point, wear wigs. I mean,
there's a lot of fun that can be had.
Did it for a little bit,
yes, and that's one of the better entertaining things he did. And Toni Storm's already incredibly entertaining, so I'd love to see that. I mean, I'll be happy either way. It's a very intriguing match. So
I like this prediction. Okay, Toni Storm will lose her hair, and Mina Shirakawa will cost Toni Storm the match. I like it.
And look, that sets up something.
I could see. Like no. Because why would Mina, she just got her haircut? Why would she?
It doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean I have to cost you on purpose, but accidentally getting in the way and
trying to help. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. I mean, they need to split them up immediately, if you ask me. So, they're great together, but Mina had a whole ROH TV title run that kind of got stifled by this. So, I would like to see Mina more on her own. I think she's better and then Toni's just great with anybody. She's O positive. You know what I mean? She's great. She's great with anybody. So
4 title matches, 2 stipulation matches, AW Grand Slam Australia is a must watch. I would tend to agree with you, especially what took place last night. But again, I say this time and time again, great matches are great. The best versus the best are great. You need to make me want to watch week after week.
Yeah, because you don't. Okay, you talk about these title matches. Let's talk about the tag match, right? Because I believe FTR is putting their titles on the line, right?
Quick predictions, and then we got to jump. Go ahead.
We're just waiting for a certain team to possibly may or not show up, right? So no one's been invested in that. We saw a great women's title change. That was great, but this men's match, we don't think it's gonna. So I'll go. I think MJF's gonna win. I think the Bucks are gonna lose. I think FTR's retaining, and I don't know how. I think
that match is not on the pay-per-view.
No, it's not. Yeah. So who?
So MJF and Brody King, I think we're all in agreement here. I don't think MJF's going to lose. Would it be shocking if Brody King won? Yes. Would it make him a absolutely main event star player? Or absolutely. Juice, do you think MJF's dropping the championship?
I could see it only because MJF can get it back at any point, being a dastardly heel. That being said, I don't see it happening. And I don't know. AEW, the last 2 weeks, 2 eliminator matches that we didn't think would ever have winners, they won. And then this past week, 2 brand new champions. Yeah. So who's to say they can't just go crazy? But it makes you think about it.
To Tony Khan's credit there, Juice, it's making people say, hey, man, I don't know. They might switch the championships. We just saw 2 change hands. Fletcher and Briscoe. I think it would be absolutely asinine to flip this championship, but I guess you never know. I think Fletcher retains in that ladder match. Jordan?
I mean, if it would be a monumental mistake to flip it right back to Briscoe.
The Babes of Wrath, Cameron and Willow taking on Bane and Penelope Ford, tag match for the Women's World Tag Team Championship. I wouldn't hate a switch here. I mean, I think the Babes of Wrath they were the first. I think that the title run has been great. I think we've been calling for them to drop the championships for like months now. So they've exceeded expectations. And I believe Willow is she's the TBS champion, isn't she?
I think it's very clear with the Brawling Birds coming in last night and whatnot and how they're setting them up. I think, yes, the Sisters of Sin will win, and that's setting up the Brawling Birds to then take the title off of them come Revolution.
Yeah. Moxley and Takeshita, singles match for the AEW Continental Championship. Juice, what do you got here?
I'd like to see Takeshita win, but I think
he has to.
Yeah, I think that's, the move. It's just been so bizarre seeing this complete 180 of the Death Riders and Mox just being kind of in-betweeners after being the biggest heel group. But now you make the Don Callis family that group, and now Takeshita's a part of it, but he could kind of get out of it by being a champion and have people being jealous of it. So just tell a good story within that, and I'd like to see Takeshita end up as champion.
Somehow, some way, this is all cooled down, and I do not care about it anymore.
I think Moxley should drop this championship. Truthfully.
I think Moxley should drop it, and let's do something. We got to start doing something different with the Death Riders.
And that would be a moment that people remember in Grand Slam Australia, along with Fletcher and Briscoe absolutely beating the shit out of each other and having a hell of a ladder match, which I think will be the other moment. And the switching of the AEW Women's Tag Team Championship would be a moment as well. The other thing that I want to talk about before we get off the air here is obviously Hangman Page and Andrade. I think this is a chance to make Andrade roll him into LA against MJF. They've kind of already had this feud online and in Mexico and everything else like that. And let him and MJF, that being Andrade, have this match at Revolution. They want to add a person here or there, so be it. But I think Grand Slam Australia is the perfect time and place to have Andrade stack another win and get people really invested in him for that match against MJF. Jordan, and then Juice, and then we'll get out of here.
Andrade's been having the greatest run of his recent career. So, yes, give it to him. 100%.
Man, with Ciampa and Andrade doing some big things, it feels like the revival of the Black and Gold brand to a level that I had not quite anticipated. So I'd like to see Andrade take this, and then the question of what Hangman does next is more intriguing than him challenging again for the title. It's for me. If it's with Swerve as a tag team against the Don Callis family, great. Elevate the Don Callis family as like the biggest heel group. Get 2 of the biggest enemies have to team together to go against them. That's good TV.
Yeah, and I thought Swerve and Hangman had a lot of legs as a tag team. I know the internet agreed, but that doesn't really pay the bill, so who gives a shit? But at the end of the day, I kind of liked them as a tag team. We'll have to see where they go. I do want to talk about, the Orange Cassidy stuff is interesting to me because of the Tony Storm head shaving and everything else like that, but I don't think that match is taking place at Grand Slam because I thought it was on House Rules.
No, I think it's taking place at
Grand Slam. Okay. Well, that, I'm here for that as well. I think that match is going to be a good one, and it would be interesting to see Tony have to shave her head. There'd be an interesting story there as well. We'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, again, AEW can tell stories and can still get people over if it's done the right way. And the matches, again, which we've stated, are always going to be top notch in AEW.
Every time.
Yeah.
I mean, when it has, I truthfully don't recall one pay-per-view where I've felt underwhelmed by AEW.
Yeah.
I truly can't, and that's not being biased, because I could tell you for a fact, not every TV has been as great as what we saw last night or the last 2 weeks. There have been some, low times for TV, but on pay-per-view, they've killed it.
Yeah, we had AEW announce Wembley Stadium ticket sales. Everyone could stop that hoopla and hobbob. I believe it
just
goes
happens
on
to be the day after Revolution,
which is smart business on them. So we'll have to wait and see. I made reference to Bad Bunny on the internet, and it was next to Logan Paul. And I can absolutely say this because it's just what I've heard. Bad Bunny potentially wrestling in the WWE is absolutely a real thing. WrestleMania could use the jolt, and Bad Bunny versus Logan might not be what a lot of people want because of Logan's comments or whatever and their affiliation here or there. But I would rather see Bad Bunny versus Dominic Mysterio, but I don't make the calls. But I do believe Dom could be somebody who Bad Bunny wrestles. Now, I'm going to say this again. I believe that Bad Bunny and WWE are in talks to have Bad Bunny come wrestle.
Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
I said if WWE was smart, I would be on the phone with Bad Bunny immediately. Grammys, Super Bowl.
He's got to want to work with them, though.
Yeah, and I get that. His stock is way higher than when it was and it was already really high when they first got it.
Well, it's also, there's the political stuff behind it as well, which I'm not going to get into, but I'm just telling you, I mean, Bad Bunny did the Super Bowl. I don't think he'd have any problem doing WrestleMania or even SummerSlam if that's the case.
If you're able to get him on this run, Grammys, Super Bowl, Mania, that puts, in the eyes of others, that puts Mania just up there on another echelon.
Yep, and I'm sure people are going to clip this and it'll be all over the news and everything else like that, which is fine. I could tell you that Bad Bunny and WWE, I think, are going to make something happen very, very soon, whether it's WrestleMania or SummerSlam. But I know that WWE has shown and rightfully so, a massive interest in getting Bad Bunny back into the ring. And WrestleMania could use the jolt. Juice?
Yeah, I also think, though, I think he's better suited, especially right now, because it's not like the Puerto Rico match with Priest was like a perfect setup for a one-on-one. I think he's more suited for a fun tag match where I could see Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio versus Dom and somebody. But Dom versus Finn is what I think WrestleMania is going to more than likely be, considering Finn has a huge world title match at the next PLE, and Dom can interfere, cause that match to happen, cause Finn to be sympathetic and be a babyface and get out of the Judgment Day, and set up so many things with a Punk title match in Chicago. Perfect.
And here's the thing. Logan Paul and Braun Breaker's hurt. Logan Paul and Bronson Reed don't have really anything right now going on at WrestleMania. So a tag match is absolutely something I could see. I could see Bad Bunny and a partner taking on Logan Paul and Bronson Reed. Either way, I do believe we will see Bad Bunny in the WWE ring sooner rather than later, unless things fall apart. But I know WWE is really trying to make that happen. And I think there's mutual interest from Bad Bunny. I don't talk to Bad Bunny. I wouldn't know. Okay. Jordan, where can everyone like, subscribe, and follow you? Why don't you talk about the collective real quick?
Oh man, you can follow me at slick_flair91, as well as on the Wrestle Collective Dub C Worldwide, where we will later today be having a podcast talking a lot about Dynamite and some of those decisions, but in celebration of Black History Month, today we are also going to be putting our Mount Rushmore of Black champions, with the caveat being they have to have had a championship. And so it becomes a little bit difficult, unfortunately, but it's going to be a really good, fun conversation. I'm very excited for it. So you can check me out. Hannibal, who was on here doing his greatest Juice impression about a week ago. And then as well, I will say the next time you guys see me, I will be a year older, as my birthday is on Sunday. So please wish me luck as I do a little. I'm finally going to go out for my birthday, have a little fun.
There you go.
So,
Happy early birthday. Wish you the best. Many, many more. Juice, where could we like, subscribe, and follow you?
At Juicy Steen on Twitter. Happy early birthday to you, Jordan. Hope it's all great. I just had mine, a couple weeks ago, so I feel you there. These winter birthdays can be brutal, but get out there, man, and have a good time. Juice Box every single week. We got episode 199. It's the main event Maniacs episode with collaborators Brian and Jay doing their best to cover the Royal Rumble 94 main event that ended with Bret Hart and Lex Luger both winning the Royal Rumble and the chaos that ensued from that. And that is episode 199 for the Juice Box. So next week is a big one. So yeah, at Juicy Steen on Twitter. And we'll catch you guys next week with who knows what here on No Dirt, Just Dialogue.
There you go. I'm Andrew Bedala. That is Jordan Carter. That is Juice Springsteen. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so that when we go live, you will know. I like the little Larry Zbyszko thing there. Again, like, subscribe, follow, comments. Thanks to Dev, Grumpy, Trust, Vex. Who else was in here? Dev, Graps, Blake
Abel.
Mitchmore, Abe, all these guys. Abel, we appreciate it. Girls, we appreciate the love and support. Over 400 watching this live. We continue to grow. I appreciate that as well. Grand Slam should be good. I'm going to go watch the rest of this hockey game while at work. We'll catch you guys and girls down the road. Thanks.